I still remember the weight of that invitation in my hands. Cream cardstock, gold lettering, expensive. My cousin Diane's wedding, the kind of event my family had been planning for months, talking about in every group chat, every Sunday dinner. I was happy for her, truly. We grew up together, shared secrets, late night talks, dreams about our futures. Or so I thought. The wedding was beautiful, held at a vineyard 2 hours outside the city, string lights everywhere, live band, open bar. I wore a simple dress, nothing flashy. I've never been the type to draw attention. I came alone, no plus one. I didn't mind. I was there to celebrate her, but the moment I walked into the reception, I felt it. That shift. Eyes glancing at me, then away. Whispers behind champagne flutes. I found my name at the seating chart. Table 14. In the back corner, near the kitchen doors. Far from family. Far from anyone I knew. Surrounded by distant acquaintances and a few people who looked just as confused as I felt. I sat down, adjusted my napkin, and told myself it was fine. Maybe it was just how the seating worked out. Maybe I was overthinking. But then I saw them. My aunt, my uncle, my other cousins, all at table 2, right near the bride and groom, laughing, toasting, together. And I realized I wasn't just seated far away. I was placed there, on purpose. Dinner was served. I picked up my food, barely tasting it. The speeches started. My uncle stood up first, talking about watching Diane grow up, about family, about legacy, then her brother, her best friend, her maid of honor. Everyone had something to say. Everyone had a story. I waited. I thought maybe, just maybe, someone would mention me. We were close once. I taught her how to drive. I stayed up with her the night before her college interviews. I was there when her first relationship ended and she cried for hours on my couch. But my name never came up. Not once. After the speeches, I got up to use the restroom. I needed a moment. As I walked past table 2, I overheard my cousin Jason talking to someone I didn't recognize. His voice was loud, careless, the way people talk when they've had too much to drink. Yeah, we invited her because Mum insisted. But honestly, she's kind of broke. Works some office job, rents a tiny apartment, doesn't really fit in with the rest of us anymore, he laughed. Others laughed with him. I froze, my chest tightened. I kept walking, kept my face neutral, but inside something cracked. I locked myself in a bathroom stall and sat there, hands shaking, trying to breathe. I wanted to leave, just walk out, drive home, disappear. But I didn't. I went back to table 14. I stayed until the end. I smiled when I needed to. I congratulated Diane. I hugged her. And I left quietly without a scene. The drive home felt endless. 2 hours alone with my thoughts, replaying every moment, every look, every laugh. The way Jason said broke like it was something dirty, like I was less than them because I didn't have what they had. I got home a little after midnight. My apartment was quiet. Small, yes, but mine. I'd worked for every piece of furniture, every dish in the cabinet. I paid my own bills. I didn't ask anyone for help. I thought that mattered. I thought independence was something to be proud of. But to them, it just meant I didn't measure up. I sat on my couch in the dark, still wearing that dress, and I cried. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just silent tears running down my face. The kind that come when you realize people you loved never saw you the way you saw them. My phone buzzed. A text from my mum. Did you have fun at the wedding? I didn't answer. I couldn't. What was I supposed to say? That her sister's family humiliated me. That I wasn't good enough for a decent seat. That they laughed about me. I turned my phone off. I sat there until the sun started to rise. And somewhere in those quiet hours, something shifted inside me. The sadness hardened into something else. Something colder, sharper. I wasn't going to beg for their respect. I wasn't going to explain myself or prove my worth. I was done. But I wasn't going to disappear either. Not yet. Not until they understood exactly who they'd underestimated. The weeks after the wedding, I went silent. I stopped responding to the family group chat, stopped liking their posts, stopped showing up to Sunday dinners. My mum called a few times, asking if I was okay. I told her I was busy with work. It wasn't entirely a lie. Work had always been my refuge. While my cousins were posting vacation photos and shopping hauls, I was putting in 12-hour days, learning everything I could, building something they couldn't see. I worked in corporate strategy for a tech firm. Not glamorous, not flashy, but I was good at it. Really good. 6 months before the wedding, I'd been headhunted by a competitor, a bigger company. They wanted me to lead a new division. The offer was significant, life-changing, honestly, but I'd been hesitant. I liked my team. I liked the stability visibility. I wasn't sure I was ready for that kind of leap. After the wedding, I called them back. I took the offer. I signed the contract 3 weeks later. Nobody in my family knew. Nobody asked what I was doing. They were too busy with their own lives, their own circles. I was the background character in their story, the one they only remembered when they needed someone to pity or compare themselves to. I moved into a new apartment, bigger, better view. I bought new furniture. I started dressing differently. Not for them, for me, because I finally understood that I didn't owe them anything. Not explanations, not updates, not even my presence. My new role came with visibility I hadn't expected. The company was launching a major initiative, and I was the face of it. Press releases, industry panels, LinkedIn articles featuring my work. My name started appearing in places that mattered. Trade publications, business journals. Nothing massive, but enough. Enough that people in my field knew who I was. I didn't post about it on social media. I didn't announce it to anyone. I just kept working, kept building, kept proving to myself that I was exactly who I thought I was, regardless of what my family believed. One evening, I was at a networking event downtown, one of those cocktail receptions where everyone's pretending to be interested in everyone else's pitch. I was talking to a colleague when I saw him across the room. My uncle, Diane's father, he worked in sales for a manufacturing company, always talked big about his connections, his deals. He was schmoozing with a group of executives, laughing too loud, shaking hands. He hadn't seen me yet. I watched him for a moment, remembering how he'd looked at me at that wedding, or rather, how he hadn't looked at me at all. I turned back to my conversation. I wasn't ready. Not yet. But seeing him there in my world reminded me of something important. Our worlds were closer than they realized. And in my world, I wasn't the one in the back corner anymore. I left early that night, but I kept that moment in my mind. A reminder, a promise to myself. When the time came, I'd be ready. 3 months later, I got the call. My company was hosting our annual gala. Black tie, industry leaders, investors, city officials. It was the kind of event that made headlines in the business section. And this year, I was being honored. Rising Leader Award. My CEO wanted me on stage, wanted me to give a speech about innovation and leadership. I almost said no. Public speaking terrified me. But then I thought about that table in the back corner. I thought about Jason's laugh. I thought about being invisible in my own family. I said yes. The invitations went out. My assistant asked if I wanted to submit a list of personal guests. I hesitated. My finger hovered over my mother's contact, then my aunt's. Part of me wanted them there, wanted them to see, but another part, the part that had been sitting in the dark that night after the wedding, knew better. I didn't invite anyone. This wasn't for them. This was for me. But then, 2 weeks before the gala, my mum called. She'd heard about it somehow. Small world, smaller city. She was excited, proud. She asked if she could come. I couldn't say no to her. She'd always believed in me, even when she didn't fully understand what I did. "Can I bring your aunt?" she asked. "She'd love to see you receive an award." I paused. Something cold settled in my chest. "Sure, Mum. Bring whoever you want." I hung up. And I smiled. Not a happy smile. A knowing one, because I realized something in that moment. They were going to come into my world, and they were going to see exactly who I'd become, whether they were ready or not. The night of the gala, I stood in front of my mirror for a long time. Black dress. Simple, elegant, hair pulled back. Minimal jewelry. I looked like someone who belonged, because I did. I arrived early. The ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, round tables with white linens, centerpieces that probably cost more than my first car. My name was on the program, my photo in the slideshow rotating on the screens. I walked through, checking details with my team, making sure everything was perfect. Then they arrived. My mum first, beaming, wearing her best dress. My aunt beside her, looking around with wide eyes, taking it all in. And behind them, my uncle, and Jason, and Diane with her husband. They came as a group. Of course they did. My mum hugged me immediately. "Sweetheart, this is incredible. I'm so proud of you." Her voice cracked a little. I held her tight. My aunt stepped forward, smiling that polite smile I knew so well. "Congratulations, dear. We had no idea you were doing so, ... Well." The pause before well said everything. Jason stood back, hands in his pockets. looking uncomfortable. Diane smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. My uncle shook my hand like we were strangers at a business meeting. "I didn't realize you'd all be coming," I said calmly. "Mum mentioned she might bring Aunt Linda." "Well, we wanted to support you," my aunt said. "Family should be there for these things." I nodded slowly. "That's nice. Your seats are at table 12, near the back. I hope that's okay." Seating was ... complicated. I watched my aunt's face shift, just slightly. A flicker of recognition. Table 12, near the back. She opened her mouth, then closed it. My uncle looked at his program, found the seating chart, said nothing. Jason glanced at Diane. She looked at the floor. My mum, oblivious to the tension, squeezed my hand. "I'm sure it's lovely, honey. We're just happy to be here." "Excuse me," I said, checking my watch. "I need to prepare for my speech. They'll be starting soon." I walked away. I didn't look back. I could feel their eyes on me, but I didn't care. My heart was steady. My hands weren't shaking. I felt calm in a way I hadn't felt in months. The lights dimmed. Dinner was served. I sat at table 1, right at the front, with the CEO, the board members, the investors, people who knew my work, people who respected what I'd built. Between courses, executives stopped by to congratulate me. My CEO introduced me to a venture capitalist who wanted to discuss a partnership. I could see table 12 from where I sat. They were eating in silence, mostly. Jason kept looking around like he was trying to figure out how he'd ended up there. My aunt whispered something to my uncle. Diane picked at her food. My mum, bless her, seemed genuinely happy. She smiled at me across the room. I smiled back. She deserved to be proud. She'd earned that. The others? They were finally seeing what I'd always been, what they'd refused to notice. Then came the awards. The lights focused on the stage. My CAO walked up to the microphone, and the room went quiet. He spoke about innovation, about leadership, about the future we were building. And then he said my name. "Please welcome to the stage our Rising Leader Award recipient, the woman who transformed our entire strategic division and secured partnerships worth over $50 million this year alone. ... The applause started. I stood, smoothed my dress, and walked to the stage. I didn't look at table 12. Not yet. I took the award, shook hands, stepped up to the microphone. The speech I'd prepared was professional, grateful, forward-thinking. I thanked my team. I thanked my CEO. I talked about the work, the vision, the responsibility we all share to build something meaningful. And then, at the end, I paused. I let my eyes scan the room, past the executives, past the investors, until they landed on table 12. I also want to thank everyone who believed I wasn't capable, who underestimated me, who made me feel small. My voice was steady, calm. You taught me that the only validation I need is my own. That success isn't about proving anything to people who've already decided who you are. It's about knowing who you are, regardless of who's watching. I smiled, not at them, at myself, at the woman I'd become. Thank you. The room erupted in applause. I walked off stage, award in hand. My CEO hugged me. Colleagues congratulated me. And across the room at table 12, Jason's face had gone completely pale.